Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Vosteed Corgi V. This knife drops tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I will do a community thread to remind y'all. I had the opportunity to check this one at a blade show and I've been pretty excited about it. If you like compact knives, stick around because I think you're going to like this one. So as far as closed length, it's a hair smaller than the original mini Corgi. The reason this one's called the Corgi V is because it uses their Vanchor Lock, a very secure locking system that I've tested out thoroughly. I like the deployment methods on this one. You have this back, kind of like a Bic lighter, textured area right here, and talk about grippy jimping there. It rockets out, and then you have a front flipper that works. It feels a little bit better to do a reach around on that one. You still have a drop point blade, but it's a little bit different than the original. The original has this top swedge up there, and the original is a little bit slicier. That's something I do like about the original mini Corgi. But the original mini Corgi has a button lock. Like I said, this one has a Vanchor Lock. So this particular version has a satin finish. You do have some jimps up top, but those jimps are for the front flipper. They don't really offer too much traction. Not something I care about too much. Even though this tip is a little bit above the center line of the scales, being that it's a small blade, you can still maneuver that tip fairly easily, or you can just use that belly, so it should be a fairly versatile blade shape. This particular knife is in 14C 20-inch steel. Vosteed does a fantastic job with their 14C. I've tested quite a bit of it at this point. You got a fairly robust tip there. Great for piercing, and if you had to do a little twisting and turning, you should be a-okay. Your sharpening choil is okay. Your plunge grind comes to about right there, so you should have several sharpenings before it widens up on you. The Corgi V has a high flat grind that comes down to around 17 to 18 thousandths behind the edge. Now I think it's time we put it through its paces and see how it performs. Talk about a fun little knife to use. You would think with such a compact blade, you'd think it'd be a little bit hard to do this type of stuff, but got just the right amount of handle for me to hold on to this with a nice firm grip. And it came nice and sharp, and it's slicing well. It's not as slicey as the original, small Corgi. It's close, but I think it's the edge bevel. Edge bevel's I think 24 degrees per side on this one, which, whatever. I can always change that after this review, but it's definitely doing a good job. And now we're testing the ergos, and I was kind of just wanting to see how much force I could get into this Pine 2x4. I know I can make the finer curls with this, but I'm really trying to bear down hard to see if I feel any discomfort. It's late, I'm tired. But the handle's filling out the hand nice. You have that neutral broomstick style handle, chamfered edges. The only thing I started feeling toward that very end is the middle of the pocket clip. The fat of my palm was falling in there, but not terrible. Now this wasn't that difficult, the 1/2-inch sisal rope, but you don't have a whole lot of handle, so you don't have a lot of leverage to push down. So it could have been easier with a bigger knife, but this blade has enough belly, so it's fairly easy to do this type of cutting on a flat cutting surface, and the knife just has enough bite to do this rather easily. You'll see me kind of swap up from different grips. One thing you do have to be mindful of, not that it would really affect anything when you're cutting on a flat cutting surface, but where you're pinching the handles, the way I was holding it, I was wanting to pinch that Vanchor Lock. Not that would hurt anything because I'm already cutting downward, so the blade would just fall down onto the cutting board. But once I made a quick adjustment, it was fine. Not something I think it would ever be an issue for anybody or anything. That's just something I noticed right away when I first got started. But yeah, holding a good edge. Pretty much every Vosteed I've ever tested has done pretty darn well in my testing. I haven't had any that just were terrible or anything. Now this one, I wouldn't say this one is as sharp as I'm used to with Vosteed. It's got a good edge and it's got a bite to it. It's just not as sharp as they usually come hair shaving sharp out of box. And I would say this one was close to being hair shaving, but not there yet. Now, being this is a smaller blade, you can use that tip to do drag cuts, but being that it is a little bit higher of a tip, of course, it's probably natural just to use the belly, and nothing really gave it any troubles. That tubing was getting a little too small. I need to get some more of that, but it did well with just about everything. 10-ounce denim, no problem. You know, it's such a compact blade. I would say it did a really good job. You know, this is not something I would be doing hard use with, or, you know, cutting for long periods of time. You know, grab a bigger knife. So for what it is, I think it's excellent. Well, I thought it performed fairly well. Now let's take a look at the deployment once again. So like I said, you have this little roll around back flipper. That jimping grabs a hold of that finger and it's definitely not letting go. You can front flip it. But for me, I'm just going to use that back flipper. It's a lot more comfortable. I can even grab it with my thumb. There's several different ways you can do it. Trotting on K-shrimp bearings, giving it a nice positive flip and a nice smooth flip. As far as the front flipper, I do wish that they would have put this same jimping on the front flipper, because the jimping on here is not very grippy, but I can still reliably front flip it, so it's not that big of a deal. You can also use the button on the Vanchor Lock to deploy the knife as well. So there's 3 means of deployment. Let's close it up. Take a look at these handles. You have aluminum scales that are very nice and slightly contoured, and they also have a nice chamfer going all the way around them. Even though it's a very compact handle, my medium-sized hands, I can get a 4-finger grip, and it's very comfortable. Fills out the hand nicely, and I was able to get way more force into things than I thought I could. And being that you have like a neutral broomstick style handle, it's going to be comfortable no matter which way you hold it. Now, as far as the ergos go, like I said earlier, it was very comfortable. The only time I ever noticed any discomfort is whenever I was pushing into the wood as hard as I could, and the fat of my palm was falling into this little hole. That's why I don't ever like seeing these. Now, they did a good job of rounding and softening everything around here, so nothing sharp. So it just depends if that's something you plan on doing or not. I just noticed something fairly interesting. Close it up, and on this side you have really no visible hardware, because this is a button right here. You have your Torx T6 right here, and if you notice, there's no hardware screws on this side, and then you have this little thing right here. So if you look in there, that little piece is connected to the clip. The clip is screwed down into that little plate, and then same on the opposite side. This little plate, I'm guessing, is either, I doubt it's screwed into aluminum. I'm guessing there's a little threaded spacer in there or something. Then you have tons of skeletonization to bring down the weight as much as they could, bringing your weight to a very manageable 2.81 ounces. It carries very well in the pocket. You have a deep carry pocket clip down the center, and you don't have any flipper tabs sticking out. So if you need to put something else in your pocket with the knife, you'd be fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, it is tip up, right hand carry only, unfortunately, for my lefties. They did inset that clip into the aluminum. Excellent job. And even though it's not a ton of room underneath the ramp of that pocket clip, it goes in and out of my jeans fine. It's got good tension to it. It's got fairly strong tension, but you want that because of the smooth texture on this aluminum. The hard anodization on this aluminum has not a super chalky feel, but enough of a chalky feel to give you a nice tactile grip, so it's not slippery. Like I said earlier, the Vanchor Lock is a nice stout locking system, And when I say I cannot muscle any movement in any direction with this one, very tight lockup, definitely going to ensure this knife is going to stay open during use. Now for some quick size comparisons, it's just a hair shorter than the Mini Corgi, and it's bigger than the Vosteed Raccoon Cub. And it's smaller than both the Vosteed Mini Psyop and the Vosteed Mini Nightshade. And it's also a little smaller than the Vosteed Mini Labrador and the Vosteed Chipmunk. And lastly, it's a little smaller than the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog, and it's a little bigger than the Civivi Baby Banter. Now for my nitpicks and complaints, there's no lefty love here, which kind of stinks because you're definitely able to disengage that lock left-handed and use the knife left-handed. Next, I would have liked to see T8 hardware, but I get it if they can't fit them there. And lastly, I would have loved to see the plunge grind brought all the way back so you have all that room to sharpen the knife. So in conclusion, if you're someone looking for a well-made, compact EDC folder that's comfortable in the hand, has a nice, versatile blade, and an excellent lock, then the Vosteed Corgi V might be what you're looking for. If you're interested in this one, I will have it linked down in the description. Make sure that it's after 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or it's going to say sold out. Like I said earlier, I will do a community thread when these drop later tonight. That's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for more in-depth knife and gear reviews. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, keep those blades sharp, smile more,